Hi, I'm Mildred Wincombe, and I'm a recovering perfectionist. When I was younger, I thought being a perfectionist was a glamorous thing, something that meant that I would always put out my best work. Well, as I grew older, I definitely found out I was totally wrong about that. I found out that it was more of a flaw for me than an asset, because it held me back from so much. So who exactly is a perfectionist? According to Oxford, a perfectionist is a person who likes to do things perfectly and is not satisfied with anything less. I think that sums it up perfectly. We perfectionists, we tend to have extremely unreasonable high standards for ourselves, and we overly criticize ourselves when we do not achieve the standard, which is already unreasonable. Perfectionism is really just a fear of failure. For instance, with my art, there were so many times I wouldn't even start drawings because I was scared that they weren't going to turn out the way I intended. I would be scared to post on my art page because I feel like my work is not good enough. It doesn't have a high enough standard, and when I post it, it's going to fail. People are going to hate it. Meanwhile, the art community was just so loving. I don't think anyone would have cared if my art didn't look world class. I'm just going to go over a few reasons why perfectionism is actually a flaw, in case your mind still hasn't been changed. Perfectionists tend to have their value placed on external things. For instance, I'm making a drawing or an artwork and it turns out to be really terrible. Instead of me to just notice that I need to work on my art, maybe try to improve on certain things and take it as a form of feedback, I decide to tell myself that I am a horrible artist, I'm never going to be better, I can't expect this from myself, I should get it right the first time. Just a lot of unnecessary negative talks to yourself. Another thing that perfectionists tend to become is chronic procrastinators, and this isn't because they are lazy, but it's just because they fear getting things done just perfectly. Aside all this, it also leads to feelings of stress, anxiety, overwhelm, and you eventually get burnt out too. You put so much pressure on yourself that you just end up stressing yourself unnecessarily. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with trying to strive for good work, but there's a point where you need to realize that what you've done is enough. Now I'm going to share with you a few things that I've been trying to implement to help me overcome my perfectionism. Number one, setting more realistic expectations. If, for instance, I want to set a goal to learn something, I'm going to give myself time. I'm going to learn to enjoy the journey and the process instead of just jumping straight into, oh my god, I want to be perfect, I want to be wonderful, I want to just be good immediately. I've learned to remove my focus from getting to the goal or the destination that I want to get to, and I'm learning to focus on just enjoying the journey. I recently read Atomic Habits, and one thing that has really stuck with me since reading that book was quantity over quality. And this is such valuable advice that I've learned, and I'm trying to also apply it to my process of learning art lately. Now, instead of just focusing on creating the perfect artwork, I just focus on studying and also practicing as much as possible. I'm able to see my mistakes faster because I'm not worrying about whether it's going to be perfect or not. I just try, and when I try, if I do something wrong, I refer back to wherever I was learning, try to correct my mistakes, and keep practicing and move on. Making mistakes and failure is really not a bad thing. It's just something that helps us learn from our mistakes, and we should all embrace it more. I feel like it's more of a psychological change to improve. It's not something that you can just overnight change. So it's good to have these tips in mind and try to remind yourself of these things. I'm going to link articles below that would probably give more information because I am not an expert in this. This is something I just struggle with, and these are the things I'm doing to improve it now. I'd love to know if you are a perfectionist or a recovering one like me. Please let me know in the comment section, what are you doing to combat it? If you enjoyed my video, please like, subscribe. You can also check out my previous videos. See you next week. Bye!